All right, here we are. Here we are. Look,
We're live.
we're just gonna do it. We're gonna go for it. Right now we're getting cheers.
So
See, I've
are
got
we already?
yeah, we're getting cheers.
Oh, and there's the camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the camera's there, we're there,
Okay.
and I can switch. Do you want to see what you want me to
Hi,
move it
Henry
over there?
World. This is only my second time.
Debbie Potter.
Debbie Potter.
Now, where are you from originally? Just there, relax.
Okay, well, originally I'm from Minnesota,
Okay, what part?
Litchfield. Litchfield,
Litchfield.
Minnesota. If you're familiar at all, there's Wilmer, St. Cloud, Hutchinson, just
So
right
did
all around
you
us.
are you German or Swedish?
Oh, my dad, I'm 100% Scandinavian,
Okay.
mostly Swedish, got a lot of Danish in there, a little
Okay.
bit of Norwegian, which will make my family mad because they're pretty sure we're half and half Swedish
That's
Norwegian,
fine.
but we're not.
So and but no German.
No, no, not on my dad's side,
No,
now on my mom's
nein,
side.
Fräulein.
Nein, ich habe Deutsch gelernt im Gymnasium.
Oh, look at that.
I had 3 years of German in high school, and that's it. But on my mom's side, there is a little tiny bit of German.
I used to speak German to my Weimaraner.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a German breed. They're a sporting breed.
Okay.
I love
Oh, a
dogs.
dog.
They're dogs.
Okay.
All right, so hi everybody. Hey, this is Henry McClure Live, and we have a guest in the studio today, and I think she's being brave, going live just like this. We're winging it. We just met like a minute ago.
Yeah, and the first time I ever went on a radio, I broke out in hives for a whole month. So
Well, this is Facebook Live,
I like Facebook.
so we
I'm
get
okay.
my Facebook channel gets. Right now, I'm trending. If you analyzed,
Okay.
I'm trending at about 1.5 million views a year.
Okay. I'm gonna have to take the sweater off here pretty
Yeah,
soon.
make
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah,
I'm
I
getting
turned up the
warm
heat.
now.
I turned up the heat.
Okay. You just turned up the heat. What's that? So.
And then, so what we do, I have a guy, MD. He downloads every Henry McClure Live, and then he puts search engine optimization
Mhm.
in it, and we'll have your name and State Board of Education so they can find you, and then we put it up on my YouTube channel.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you doing this for me. I was I'm not a politician by nature. I'm not demure at all. I'm not very political. I say what I'm thinking, and sometimes I'm just wrong. And the next day I'll say, "Oh yeah, it was pretty stupid of me." I'm not. I'm not afraid of that.
No, I'm not
And
afraid either.
and so
Well, we have a school board connection in our, with
that's
my
right.
grandfather,
That's right.
and half a win and showing up. You know, he happened to be a lawyer and a judge, and he just happened to be on the school board.
Okay.
And then what's really wild is one of the guys that I worked for in that mall business I was talking to
Uh
you
huh.
about.
Uh huh.
His dad, his name's Steve Roush, but his dad was Fred Roush, and Fred decided to make McClure School named after my grandfather.
See, I think that's cool.
And I got to go there for second and third grade. And for that, I think I'm somebody.
I love genealogy. Well,
I do too.
I just love genealogy. It's not even about being somebody. It's remembering all those cool people in our history. There's just
Well, right.
and even the everyday ones because they're cool too. Just
I'm
being everyday.
proud of I'm proud of who I am and how I got here.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's just jump right into it. What made you want to be part of the Board of Education?
Okay. So it's been 4 years ago. I was praying and mad as fire, along with a large part of the nation, over what many of us would perceive as a little bit of shenanigans that went on in the election. And anyway, I was pretty angry, and so I'm praying, and I just say, okay, God, I feel like we're at war, and I'm getting to be an old lady, and I'm a fighter, and where would you want me? And I was in real estate, so I'm thinking personal property rights. These are kind of near and dear to me. I've been
Right?
fighting that fight for a few years, and I kind of thought that's where God would send me, but I really felt like clear as day, Him just putting in my heart, look out after the kids. And I didn't have any grandkids or kids in my local school board, and I was familiar with the state board of education just because of an issue I had had with one of my kids at one point. And
You want to share that?
well, it might embarrass them, but
Them?
my
Well,
son. Well, it was
well, if you don't feel comfortable,
well, I mean, I'm not really very shy about much of anything. It's just it is important, I think, in the schools to know that sometimes bullying can happen from staff of the school,
right?
and that was kind of what I was dealing with. And I had somebody who's just kind of going after my son and falsely accused him of marijuana use, and was going to expel him. And then my husband talked him down to a suspension. And during that week of suspension, I went and got him tested, paid the extra $10 and all that good stuff. And it showed that not only had he not had any marijuana, he had not even been around anybody who did have marijuana, which in my mind cleared the kid that he was with who was also accused.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
anyway, all that to say though, you can't unring that bell. And I that's the when I took my last three out that were in school, and I homeschooled them through the rest of high school.
And don't homeschool kids usually end up with better SAT scores
Yeah,
and they're
colleges
more
want that.
grounded?
Well, colleges love homeschool kids. I know that. My kids didn't even have to take any SATs or anything because I did a lot of course, I'm working full time now doing real estate and homeschooling high schoolers with a lot of help of my daughter-in-law and
Now, where
others
were you living at this point?
in Garden Plain in
Okay.
Wichita
Okay.
area. And so with that in mind, my kids were doing a lot of concurrent enrollment in college. So they just kind of, after they graduated high school, just kept going on college. They graduated as upper sophomores, graduate high schools as upper sophomores in college.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so it kind of transitioned easily.
Well, tell me real quick about your, where did you go to high school and college?
Well, I graduated high school out of Minnesota,
Okay.
in Litchfield, and I did go to high school for a year in Hawaii. Lived
Oh,
with
wow.
my grandma. My mom was very open.
What island?
Oahu.
Okay.
Yeah, we were in Kaneohe and Lanikai. And let's see, and then I went to the Air Force Academy, and I went there for 2 years.
So you lived in the Springs
Well, I lived at the Air Force Academy
in Colorado Springs?
in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you thought I went to college there. No,
No.
yeah, and met my husband, and
So he's an Air Force guy?
yes, he is.
Okay, cool.
He's retired Air Force and
Just relax.
A10. I know I'm talking
Am I
fast.
putting you,
I'm
I know, am I
nervous.
putting pressure on you?
No.
Hey, would you like a water?
I'm good. I
Okay,
am
'cause
good.
I'll-
I gobbled down 2 cups of coffee before I got here, so that's part of it.
All right, all right.
Yeah, no, I just
You know, I've got some gum that will relax you.
do you?
Yeah, have you ever
Special
heard?
gum?
No, it's not got weed in it. I'm almost a decade clean and sober.
Okay.
But Joe Rogan uses this, and it's called lithiamine or something like this.
Oh.
But it calms you, and it's got a little caffeine
I'd
in it.
probably be asleep
Oh,
right
okay.
here. Yeah.
But I like that. It's called NeuroGum.
Okay.
I'm trying to get them to sponsor me.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, why
Okay.
not?
Well, I should probably choose some so they get you.
No, it's all right.
But no, and so I felt like God said, look out after the kids, and I thought, well, maybe State Board of Education's a good place to go to look out after the kids, and that's literally what got me there. I sat down with Mr. Jim McNeese. He was my District 10 representative, and I told him that I'm not political. I'm not going to campaign against him, but I didn't know how politics work if he had bigger and better things to go do. And he said he'd been doing that for 12 years, and he was
So he stood aside.
he just stood aside
Were
for
you
me.
did you run unopposed?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I started going to the State Board of Education meetings just to educate myself for 4 years. I was going on Tuesdays as much as I could. Met a lot of the board members and just kind of I went through KISA 1.0 and KISA 2.0, and I crocheted out in the audience is what I
Right.
did and listened. And
So where is the State Board of Education? Is it
it's
here
right
in
across the
Topeka?
street from the Capitol. Yeah, it's on the, I believe it's on the east side across the street. So do you know where you go to get like death certificates? Because I do genealogy, right?
No.
Oh. Oh man.
No, I had my mom's mailed to me.
Okay. No, they used
So
to
on
know
the
me by
east
name
side of
there.
the Capitol.
I think it's on the east side. Yeah.
You mean in the big tower building?
Mm-mm. I don't think it's
Like in the
inside.
Secretary of State's office? Is it
Trying
there
to
on the
think. Oh,
corner of
Secretary of State, I
Jackson
think is south.
and
Yes.
10?
And there's a parking garage. Ninth, I think.
Okay.
I think it's ninth. I've driven on it 100 times, but I don't
Okay.
know. But anyway, yeah. Now that we're getting the map of Topeka down in our minds, but with uh, with that,
So
I
who did
think
you
I
run
started
against?
expressing opinions, and then I ended up with a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent running against me. And
So you started standing up at public comment. Is that what
no,
you're saying?
no, I just talked to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I never made a public comment. When I
Do
was,
they have public comment?
they do at the beginning of Tuesday. No, that public comments always just broke my heart because I felt like those people drove from who knows where, gave their 3 minutes of their heart and soul.
Only 3 minutes?
3 minutes of their heart and soul, and then it would be okay on to the real business. It's I had this kind of scared me. So in the campaigning of things, and I'm going to call him out because he's pretty good with it, I think. But one of the Wichita Teacher Union's vice president goaded me into meeting him. And I was like, I'm not meeting the teachers union. They're not going to support me anyway, conservative me. Um, and I met with him, and we ended up high-fiving like 5 times. And I told him, I said, this is really making me nervous because you should be my like natural enemy.
But you got along.
But oh my goodness, he's a good guy. No, he's a good guy. And I've been trying to understand that. And I think in the generation I was raising my kids, and I just call it the system now, the school system. It's just the system. It runs itself. Really, we're just speed bumps. We're just things in the way to get what they want. They already know what they want.
Now,
They
who's
already,
they?
the system.
The union?
Nope, nope. The schools, the school, Kansas Department of
This
Education.
doesn't seem like a good thing.
This doesn't seem like a good thing to say out loud on a radio, but I mean, it's just what I think.
Well, no. What I'm saying, no, it's good to say it out loud and talk about it.
It's
But-
that demure nature.
But it doesn't seem like a good thing that it's on autopilot.
Well, this is now understand these are all Debbie Potter perceptions, right?
That is
and
true.
And so from my perception, yes. And one of the things that's really bothering me is it's just eating at me is I feel like the Constitution has provided for the legislature, the State Department of Education board, and the local school boards, and primarily, actually, almost exclusively local school boards to maintain, operate, and control the schools. I mean, that if you read it, I got right down here in this book. Those local school board members have it all. They're supposed to be doing it all, and I think the local school boards, I think the State Board of Education, including me, I think we're asleep at the wheel. I think we're just asleep at the wheel.
Man, that's honesty.
I don't even, right now, I know that we flipped the board, is what people will say. I've had people, I tend to think of the world in conservative liberal mindset, but there's other terms for it. I don't mean to offend like half your audience.
Oh, no. Everybody knows I'm a conservative.
Okay, so
I used to think I was
less
socially.
government or
I used to think I was socially moderate, but no, not today.
Yeah.
I think that when you have a child and you've got to raise that kid, you become a conservative across the board.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I just the idea that the state is supposed to raise our children, the state is supposed to, the state's better at raising our children. The state's better than you at handling a 3 and 4-year-old. The state's better at you than handling.
I'm not going to
kindergartner.
have
The state's better
anybody
than you.
raise my kid that doesn't understand there's only 2 genders.
Right, and yet, what I'm seeing is that, well, right now the tide has turned against them on that. I don't see the system really pushing that as much anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? They're going to go into, I think, a little bit more of a protective mode. But right now, I just want to have the conversation. I had a constituent point out to me that pre-K there's a study out of Tennessee. It was done in 2022. It's actually done over a number of years, I would say north of 10 years. And it showed the long-term effects on these children was negative. Not just, oh, it's not as good as it could be, blah, blah, blah. Harmful. Okay. So I'm going from I prayed, God says, look out after the kids. And now I'm supposed to be voting to pay for bonds so that they can repurpose an old elementary school into a pre-K for these little 3 and 4 year olds who are basically going to get institutionalized care. And because I'm trying to understand, the study showed it was harmful, but the study didn't know how it was harmful. So I know some pre-Ks are superior to others pre-Ks, right? What is it about pre-K that's harmful? They don't know. So trying to figure that out and trying not to vote to harm children when you really aren't sure, you know that pre-K is harmful, but you don't quite know which ingredient in the recipe that comes down to.
Now, I'm really dumbfounded to think that going to pre-K was harmful.
Yeah, I was a little bit too. It was a constituent
Is
who
it
pointed it
based
out to me.
on what they're feeding the kids? You
I
know what I
don't
mean?
think so.
No, I mean feeding is in so much as the information as well, not the diet.
Well, yeah, because there is now. See, these are my notes for my meetings,
Okay.
and I've got the study in here.
It just
And
seems crazy that we have to have a presidential
so
NPR might not be long for the world either.
no, actually, so yeah, so I brought this up in the January meeting. All these meetings are streamed, by the way, and I was a little bit dumbfounded that when I brought it up, and I maybe I'm naive, but I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have a really in-depth conversation. Do we need to put a pause on our pre-K funding? Do we need to, I mean, in any other world, if you found a study that has a control group that this is a good study, why are we not saying, let's pause, stop, let's figure this out before we go and spend millions of dollars? Because I can tell you tomorrow.
So this is this code?
No. That's my notes. That's my notes.
But that note means it was the past administration.
Yeah, it's part of that push. That push came from, as I understand it, from the people I've talked to, the governor, Biden administration pushing pre-K. So I think that's why we're seeing all these bonds coming through saying, okay, we need to build another elementary school so we can repurpose an old elementary school or an old middle school. These old schools are being repurposed a lot of times for these pre-Ks.
It just sounds like a place to indoctrinate children.
Indoctrinate them or just institutionalize them. I mean, these are 3 and 4 year old babies. When they skin their knee, who's going to pick them up, give them a hug, and tell them they're okay? I mean, then we have kids have all these anxieties and stuff like this. They don't have anybody who can pick them up and coddle them. I just, that grandma mom instinct in me. Nothing scientific, but when somebody says, okay, it's damaging, and I'm reading the study and we don't know what exactly is damaging, I'm like, my mind goes straight to that.
So let me ask you, have you ever heard of Creative World School?
No.
Okay, so in the real estate business, I represented a group called Creative World School. And Mrs. McCabe, I'll think of her name, but her and her husband were in this together, and she became the largest daycare company. She started in Kansas City and then moved down to Florida, and she won awards for integrating education into her daycare. It wasn't finger painting and chalkboard. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was it was an educational based.
We had hundreds of years of parents
and she
educating their kids at home when they're 3 and 4 years old, and we've made such a science out of it. Like, oh my word, if you don't have this, super duper duper uber training, you won't know how to teach a kid to read.
But Bianca loved going to Creative World School. It was part of my package as a
Right.
working for them.
Right.
She got
Oh,
to go.
she got to go. Okay.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
got to go for free. And
Mhm.
well, just one day she's a unique child. She looked at me and my then wife, and she just put her hands on her hips and just said, "Kid friends."
Kid friends.
Yeah, she wanted kid friends.
Oh. I think I have a granddaughter who's also going through that
Yeah,
because my
she
son.
wanted kid friends, and I go, "Huh, you want kid friends?" I go, "Sounds like she'd like to go to daycare."
Mhm.
And I made a deal with Billy McCabe, I think that was her name, and sure enough, she had kid friends, and she loved going.
Yeah.
I mean, she's ready to go. There was no, hey, we got to get moving.
Yeah.
There wasn't any kicking and screaming.
Right, right. There's a lot of neighborhoods don't have that sense of the kids running the street. Those were the kid friends back then, right?
Yeah.
And I still remember Corey in Denver. We rode our bikes back and forth down the street. He got hit by a car. So he's okay. He was okay. But I just we lived rough. As a kid, I grew up a little bit.
Well, I went to Pauline Elementary
Hmm.
out at Forbes and in the little town of Pauline. And I remember as a kindergartner walking to school
Yeah. Well,
just by myself. And then I went to McClure first, second, and third, and I had a key to the house. And I'd rather come home for lunch because I could watch Vietnam on TV.
oh, I would have hated that.
But I was fascinated by the news.
Uh-huh. Wow, wow. Well, I can
All
tell you
right,
we're
so
going
what
to
am
be
I?
voting on this. So just to give you an idea, these are Kansas preschool pilot grants for 2025-2026. We have almost $8.5 million that are going to that.
You have
And
$8.5 million in the bank.
we're voting to, it'll be subject to legislation if it passes. But, you know, these, so pre-K is this huge push. It's just a huge
Okay, no,
push.
so we have to raise that money. That's got
No,
to come out of property tax,
no,
or
that's already accounted for, I think, in taxes. I'm
that's in
not
the
sure.
pipeline.
It says grants, so I'm not sure if it's federal monies. To be frank, that'd be a great question for tomorrow. So I didn't. My main question was, do the parents have to work in order to qualify for these, or is it just childcare so the parents can go home and play video games, or is this to help parents who really have need? You know, uh, I differentiate that in my mind for that. These are all, by the way, online. So for you guys to know, you can go to the Kansas Department of Education, and on our meetings on the schedule, you'll find a packet on there. And it's usually dropped about a week or 10 days ahead of the meeting.
So there's $550,000 that's going to come into Shawnee County, or
Pre-K pilot.
501.
Well, these are going to be voted on. I believe this one was subject to, I believe if we voted on that, it would be subject to legislative review. So I'm not sure. I've slept since I studied it.
I ran for Shawnee County Commissioner.
Okay.
And the biggest thing that I found is really to affect change, you got to be under the dome. You have to be
Yeah.
a part of the Capitol.
Yeah. I could see that. And well, so constitutionally,
So
I'll
what?
just,
Can I
yeah,
change the subject?
go ahead.
Let's roll, but don't put that away
Oh,
because you may want to
okay.
refer to it.
All right.
What about Trump's idea of getting rid of the Department of Education in Washington? Where would you?
Yay.
Yay!
Yay. Because the more local the schools are, the more local the control, the more local the teachers control, I think the better the education because it's personalized to that I live in a very Catholic neighborhood. I'm not Catholic. But when I sent my kids to school there, I expected the feel of the school to be very conservative, very Catholic. And I was good with that because that was the community I was moving into. And so I like the idea that communities can reflect different values, different ideas, and that the education follows those values. And that in the whole world of school choice, even if it's public school choice, it's so much easier just to move somewhere where you know you're going to love the kids' education, right? But when it's federal, when the federal comes in and they say, well, in order to get this money, you have to be X, Y, and Z. If you're not X, Y, and Z, you don't get this money. Well, all of a sudden now you're homogenizing all the schools. All the schools have to be the same. All the schools have to have the same values, the same non-values, the same, they just have to behave the same because the federal money is driving how the system works. And then like, okay, here's another, it's a pet peeve of mine. And I'm I it sounds like heartless, but the thing is that I know that special needs children have special needs, and there's a level of education to reach for them, right? But some of them do not have the cognitive ability to learn. Some special needs children, in which case the education I was talking about was a child that was shared with us. They were so proud. The system was so proud of itself for having educated this child, and it goes till quite old, 19 or 21, something like that. Mentally, he was never going to be beyond 2 months old. His education,
2 months?
2 months. His education consisted of not allowing his muscles to atrophy. Now, I think most people, and because this is where it's like you got to be careful how you say these things. I think to most people, we're a very good-hearted state. I think we would want to come alongside that family and help them, but come on, let's not pretend it's an education.
Wow.
This is physical therapy. There might be, if he could have gotten a little further along, maybe occupational therapy. These are things that
So at 2 months, you're just trying to
recognize your parents.
Oh, wow. And there's no way to put that kid in the mainstream. There's just not, is there?
I have worked in the so the misperception, because I homeschooled 22 years, was that I never was in the system in the schools, but I actually subtaught for 3. And so I subtaught in a room where the children were very physically disabled, in that room and the thing that I noticed in that room was probably the 2 highest goals for learning in that room was one child to feed themselves and another child to brush their teeth. When they went to PE, when we did go down to the gym for a time, the order of the day was some balls and hula hoops, if I remember right. These teachers are doing the best they can to meet all of these needs. They get pages and pages of you have to do this. The requirements on the teachers are mind-boggling to deal with this. And I want to just say, teachers, I wish you could just teach reading, teach writing, teach math, and not
Well,
have to
they
be
sound
sorting all
like
this out.
they just sound like physical therapists. I don't even.
And I was a substitute teacher, so what was amazing to me is we
So,
had one-on-one.
so hang on a second here. So what do we do with that kid? What do we do?
So
I mean,
I
just-
think
you got to tell it like it is.
okay, I'm going to tell it like it is.
What do we
I
do?
think, okay, one, I think the money is misappropriated to the wrong place. This is a Department of Education. We
Right.
should be educating children. If it doesn't fall in education, it should go to like Health and Human Services. And those children, I do think Kansans have a heart to vote. Legislature, things are done in the legislature. I think that those children and those families need the support of their community to bring physical therapy to these children. And honestly, I would say that we have a state school for the blind, we have a state school for the deaf. Why do we not have a state school where these kids could go if that was what the parents need, or just have a school? It's not even a school.
It's almost like a daycare.
A daycare. It's really, but it's going to be probably more than just a daycare, because these kids, you want them to get as much capacity out of their life as possible, right?
Right.
So there's probably going to be
But we're
physical
kidding
therapists,
ourselves.
occupational therapists.
We're kidding ourselves by sending that kid to a regular school.
Oh yeah. It seems like
wow, this is an eye opener. Listen to this.
It seems that there should be like, okay, so kindergartners. I mean, at what level there's that much education? Actual education, not I can brush my teeth or or feed myself or whatever, stretch my muscles, nothing like that. Just actual this. When I think of education, I think of the mind. Okay. So if you think kindergarten, this person can learn colors, this person can learn to express. There's a lot of things you can learn in kindergarten, right? So if you have the mental capacity of a kindergartner, then let's get that education for kindergarten level. That's where they're going to end. That's where they're going to end. But there, how a kindergarten, there you're getting into gray area because I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not, my son, he passed away. He would have,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry about that.
yeah. And that's why I want people to know I have a heart for these children
Yeah.
because my son paralyzed to death. So had he not died, he would have been perfectly mentally, cognitively able to go all
Was
the way
this
through high
from an
school.
accident or some
No,
a
he
birth?
had what was called DIPG. It's a Pontiac glioma. He had a brainstem glioma, and it was in his brainstem, so it basically paralyzed him to death. So things that you don't think about, your stomach digesting food, his would just stop.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So because
Well,
that's
God bless you. That's a the
he
thought of losing a child is a heartbreaker.
yeah he I know where he is.
How old was he when he
He was
died?
7.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was 7, and I tell you what, he's just the most amazing boy. He's just the most amazing, and he's
Well, that
yeah,
also brings a whole different perspective from your side as far as understanding um, the levels of education.
right. I want education to be education,
Yeah, I get it.
just education, education. If you're
Wow, I
growing the
think you're
brain,
pretty brave just coming on and talking like this.
if you're growing, well, I'm not a politician.
Well, you're
I'll
a
be a one
human
termer. I'll be a one term. I know, but you
and a
know what?
mom.
And you know what though? I talked like this while I was campaigning. I talked like this while I was campaigning, and I didn't even pay any attention to my opponent, who was the only thing. Like everybody would like, they would show me an article in the paper, or they would say, "Oh, look what he wrote on his website," and I'd be like, "Oh, that is really nasty," that's mean, and that was pretty much all I never even ever talked to my Democrat opponent. I talked to my Republican opponent a couple times, and I think he believed
Well,
things that were
so
being
is
said about me.
is the Board of Education partisan?
Yeah, the running for state board of education, yeah, I'm on the Republican ticket.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. The local school boards are not. Yeah, local school boards are not, but the state board of education is. Yeah.
Well, I'm a Republican. But you know what? I am really. You remember Archie
Independent.
Bunker?
Are you?
No, listen. What we've become blue dog Republicans. You remember? Have you ever heard the phrase "blue dog Democrat"? See, I live down south.
Yeah.
I live down south,
I was a
and they
northerner,
said,
and
"No,
I
no."
wasn't political.
The southerner, they'd say, "I'd vote for that blue dog before I'd ever vote for a Republican." That old blue dog.
Oh my goodness, I
And
never knew where that came
well,
from.
yeah,
I think I'd heard that term, but yeah, no.
well, here's what's happened is that we've become the working party.
Oh yes.
We're the workers. We are the workers. And what man, I watched this guy today on from Oklahoma saying, the good people of Oklahoma don't want to pay for transgender studies in Guatemala, and
Oh, USAID, yeah,
yeah, all this
USAID.
stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, well,
I'm so excited about that. I was actually watching a video on that right before you called. It was a great video. I'll share it with you
on
later.
Doge.
On Doge, and I think it was called Doge in the Dawn. Something like it was pretty fun.
Well, and see, I see Doge here in Topeka with a group, an NGO called Go Topeka, and I don't like where they put their money, and I don't like non-elected people making all these decisions with our tax dollars. I just don't think it's
Oh,
right.
that's amen, amen, amen. I don't know how to stop that. I think that leadership, of course, is something you watch, right? From And so right now, I think we're getting a picture of good leadership. And maybe if we get a
I'm actually live on the show. Are you calling in to talk in about the show?
Actually, no. I called in to talk about a property on Kansas Avenue. Is this MCRE LLC?
Yeah, it's Henry McClure. I'll give you a shout right after the show.
Henry, this is OJ.
I know. I'm looking at your mug. I'll give you a holler in a minute.
All right, bro.
Thank you. Oh,
I was
hey.
gonna get really nervous.
We've got Robert Williams is
what's
cool.
her thought on SEL in the schools, social emotional learning? I think that social emotional learning belongs to the parents. I don't think the schools should be. And I'll tell you, if one of the things that when I first got elected, I said, okay, I want to understand these state assessments, and I went and I found out how do they come about the state assessments, and our math state assessments is SEL, and I said, now what does SEL have to do with math? And I don't remember what the answer was, but as we were talking, I said, well, one of the arguments uh, superintendents, even teachers, parents even, will have against our state assessments is that the kids don't care. They don't care about those state assessments and stuff like that. And then her answer was pretty profound. She goes, well, that's SEL. So it depends on, I guess, how you define. If social emotional learning is learning good manners and being told that it's important that you do your best on a test, okay. But I don't think that's what they mean by SEL. SEL is a way to teach people to be sensitive to other people's pronouns and stuff like that. It becomes a bizarre. We don't just teach kids how to be polite in public. We're trying to indoctrinate them into what we think is social emotional health. And that belongs to the parents. It does not belong to the system.
Robert's an interesting
Hi, Robert.
viewer. Yeah, he's really cool. And I'm telling you something. I have some of the neatest viewers on the show. I'll bring up something that I want to know more about. And look at that stack of papers right here. Look at this. And it will come in the mail.
Mhm.
I mean,
I know it's fun.
Yeah, it is. People will answer questions and they want to be engaged and they want to be a part of it. And I'll tell you what I want to do in my lifetime
Okay.
is I want to study white flight.
White flight.
White flight. That's what happened after Brown versus Board of Education.
Okay.
Okay. And I told you about my grandfather's role in that matter. So we had separate but equal.
Okay.
Okay. And that was that the black schools got first choice of all the students in 501 or the teachers. So the black schools got first choice of all the teachers in 501. So that way it was separate but equal. The black schools could never say, well, we didn't get the good teachers. No, you had first choice of all the teachers in 501, and the white people got the leftovers. And from that later on is how we got Seaman, Washburn Rural, Shawnee Heights. We got all these different people because the people of the community weren't gonna go to 501 and integrated schools. So they called that white flight. And yeah, you've never heard this analogy?
Well, no, I'm a Minnesota girl. So
okay, well you're getting
we're all pale as snow up there.
Yeah.
All of us. So
no,
up there it's whether you're Norwegian or Swedish is your big, delineation.
Well, you're getting a say it like it is analogy. And so
yeah, but my northern sensibilities start going when we talk about
but that's the reality of what happened.
And my mom grew up in Kansas. So my mom's a Kansas girl. I told you I'm like 6th generation Kansas on my mom's side. I grew up in Minnesota because my dad met her at Fort Riley.
Okay.
But now, but my mom, my uncle, I guess your viewers might enjoy this on YouTube. His name is Bill Wharton, Whorton, and he might go by William.
GN? Spell it again.
Wharton, Whorton.
Okay.
Wharton. And
is he part of the Kansas?
He
Six
lives
generations?
in Thailand now. He was
Oh,
in
wow.
Vietnam, and he's a Purple Heart and Silver Star, and I'm very proud of him. But he's from Junction City,
And he just
and
elected to stay. He loved it over
he
there.
loved it over there. He met my aunt Dana over there, and he said he's the only white boy that knows that dialect of Chinese that her family knows. So anyway, but I have a picture. I'll have to show it to you later. But my mom was very, very, very steeped and brought up in non-discrimination. It's very,
So was my
very,
family.
yeah. So it makes me like, I know that there's other stories, but my uncle apparently was walking down the street, and he'd gone a different way than he normally went, and he heard beautiful music coming from this building. So he stopped and he's just listening to it and enjoying it on a Sunday morning. They were heathens. They didn't go to church. He was just listening to him. And a couple guys stopped and said, hey, can we help you? And he goes, oh, I'm just enjoying the beautiful music. So they invited him in. And so my uncle goes into pretty much good detail explaining how over the next couple of years he was invited to sing in the Second Baptist Church Choir. And he has pictures of him in the Second Baptist Church Choir. He's the only white boy in the crowd, and they let him sing with him. So it was, I love that story. I love that heritage, getting back to that genealogy. There's really no reflection on me, but I love that the heritage that, I have that story to share. So
Wow. So this is kind of an interesting. You might have learned something today about Kansas.
I'm learning a lot on the other side of things
The-
that the sad, yeah.
Brown versus Board. Well, and to me, it's not sad because he integrated the schools. But the
Yeah, but that people
but the white
that
flight.
people that people left like that. I mean, it's just sad to me. It's sad to me that there was
Okay,
that it was even an issue.
I understand. I got one.
I mean, it's just reality.
I got a good one for you. Have you
Okay.
ever been over to Lecompton, to the
No.
territorial capital?
No.
Well, go over there
Okay.
and ask for Tim Ruis. He's the. I'll get you
You
this.
get this, okay?
So Tim will show you the first Constitution of Kansas. It had a black law in it,
Okay.
and it wasn't that they were against slavery back then. Black. It was illegal to be black in Kansas.
I'm just trying to figure out how you undo that. I guess you can't walk into Kansas. I
You
mean, what's
know
the point
what
of
you
that?
do is we stop calling people black and we stop calling people white. I like that Morgan Freeman. Did you see that 60 Minutes interview
Mm-mm.
with
No.
Mike Wallace?
No, I didn't.
It's cool. He goes,
I'll have to go look
"We got to
that up.
stop racism. When we stop it,
I think we just stop it by just stop. Just
Yeah.
stop. Just don't.
Right.
Because it was almost in my Minnesota upbringing because I heard about racism up in Minnesota, but like I think the darkest people we had up there were some Mexican friends, and that was it. That was the darkest I saw growing up. I mean, I just didn't get exposed. And so when I was in the military with Greg,
oh yeah, then you saw it.
well, I didn't, but we were in the military. There wasn't.
Well, but the military was integrated by then.
Yeah, I was gonna say there wasn't any racism that I saw. I mean, I'm sure that people might have said that they perceived that they were experiencing it, but from my vantage point, I never saw any of that. I just, as a matter of fact, one of my first crushes before my husband, he actually had a girlfriend, so I couldn't crush on him too much. But he said his girlfriend's dad didn't approve of him because he was half black, and he sure was handsome.
That's cool.
He sure was, but he's just a freshman friend. So,
But I
anyway.
do. I want to study the effects. See, what I disliked about the system, and this is what I get from being a third party guy, is it just doesn't seem like enough money goes down to the teachers. And I just think there's a lot of money in the system, and we need less administration and more money going to the teachers that are actually trying to help our children mature.
And that was my thought too. As I've talked to more and more teachers, I don't think they're as sad about their income anymore. I think that there has
Okay.
been a big push for their income. Now, I don't know all teachers feel that way. I'm not speaking on behalf of teachers. I'm just saying some of the feedback I'm getting is that they don't seem as upset. I think if I were to say the one thing that upsets the teachers the most is the lack of discipline in the schools, the behavior problems. And when these behavior problems come into the classroom, the whole classroom has to conform themselves around this behavior problem. Okay. So now getting back to XYZ, the teacher has this, XYZ, you have to respond to this child exactly this way, pat them twice on the head and then pet them or whatever. You can't touch them, but you know what I'm saying. Do this, do this, do this. And that's what you have to do as a teacher. So all the responsibility for the child's behavior lands on that teacher. And the teachers they're just about fed up with that. I would be too. I would be too. I want the parents get to teach social emotional. Parents get to be responsible for their children. And oh, by the way, parents, if your child is so badly behaved that they're disruptive to the classroom, you need to take them home, get them behaved, and send them back. They're your responsibility. And so the teachers should not be raising your children for you. That's my thought. Um, One of the things that my husband, my campaign director, and this Mike Harris is the teacher union. I consider him a friend now. The one who goaded me into meeting him. Um, they said as they were talking, and I'm just taking notes. They said what they need in this classroom is a matrix for good behavior, and matrix that it doesn't it keeps the teacher from saying it keeps the accusation off the teacher of I favor this child over that child. This is the matrix. When you behave like this, you've had too many interactions, bad negative interactions with too many kids. Dun 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 dun. You filled the matrix, and I wouldn't be that good at building matrix. Teachers could do that, but the teachers would have some control to send that child out of the classroom. They just don't belong in the classroom. And now I've had some parents say, well, maybe they just need a classroom for these bad behaved children to go to. Okay, maybe, but that's only a step on the way out the door to the parents. Again, I think those parents have to take responsibility because some of these kids, and I don't know what's going on with our kids, but I think there's a lot of behavioral issues that might be medical. I do think that a lot of our behavioral issues are kids who are being advanced without having learned the information in reading, writing, and math. They shove them through. They got happy birthday to you. You got an extra candle on your cake. You're going to progress from the third to the fourth grade. Doesn't matter if Johnny or Susie knows third grade math. They're going to the fourth grade. That will cause a behavioral issue because these kids, and what we don't seem to take into account is that these children mentally are growing at different rates. I mean, and that's not bad. It's not one kid is slow and the other one's better or anything like that. It's just different. And I didn't learn to read till I was third grade. I just my brain. I've talked to a few people that got all these dyslexia teachers that know so much, but I probably was dyslexic and didn't even know it.
I was in the slow reading, first, second, and third. And then we didn't really judge it anymore. But when I was in junior high and high school, I used to get tutored over the summer.
Okay.
And God bless them because so much of my life is reading.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, in the real estate business.
But imagine if you're a kid and you never ever get the chance to read. Like you're going to be
I
progressed.
can't fathom that.
You're going to graduate high school. 28% of our kids graduate high school illiterate. How do you graduate high school illiterate?
I'm reading a book right now that I can't put down.
Okay.
Kash Patel's.
Oh, I love Cash.
I do too. And I know why Adam Schiff doesn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh my. He even lies about lying.
Cash is cash.
Well, he
doesn't have this outside persona.
No, after reading this book, or I'm about halfway. I can see why he's the last guy to get confirmed.
Yeah.
He's the
He's
puzzle.
the most controversial.
Oh man.
Well, he is what you see is what you get, and that
but
is
he
not
knows the inside of everything.
Politicians, I got told this today. Politicians like politicians who can be controlled. And
that's why I didn't get elected.
but I got elected. That's why
Well,
I say God put me here, because there is no human reason for me to be sitting in this seat right now. It's just a tool that I was going to look out after the kids whether I got elected or not. I'd either be a pain in their rear as just a citizen, or it's going to be a pain in the rear as a state board of education. Not like my goal is to be a pain in the rear, but honestly, just not being a bobblehead is a pain in the rear.
oh man, I ran against a bobblehead.
It's hard. It's hard to watch a bobblehead. It's like,
Yeah.
why
I mean,
why even be there?
They put this bobblehead in just to be in my way as a citizen.
Mhm.
So, what?
You know Ben Moore, who put me in touch with you?
Yeah.
He's the reason I was able to campaign. So what happened was I filed, so I thought I'd be smart. You'll look back on my Facebook. I filed in December. I thought everybody's busy with Christmas. Jim McNeese ran unopposed for 12 years. I'll just file in December under the radar. Nobody will pay any attention to me, and I'll just walk on. And then I got in when do people normally file? Is it beginning of July or beginning of June? June?
Well, I filed like in February, I think. I wanted.
No, I'm just wondering when the deadline. I don't even remember when the
I
deadline
don't
was,
know.
because I filed in December. So anyway, within 2 weeks of the filing deadline, that's when I had a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent all file against me for a seat that normally for the last 12 years runs unopposed.
Well, I think if you want to run for office and another person's name's on there, run.
Yeah, but I was like, no, please don't. I don't
Yeah,
want
I
to run
got it.
against anybody.
I got it.
So I literally went to Jim ahead of time because I'm not going to campaign. I'm
Now,
not going to
Jim,
figure
is
that
this
out.
our?
Past District 10.
Okay. Was he a Republican or a Democrat?
Republican.
Okay.
And so anyway, I was like, I started praying again. I was like, God, I really, really didn't get this one right. Apparently, you did not mean for me to run for State Board of Education, because all these people are running against me, and I already told you I'm not campaigning.
Well, so
And so Ben calls me. This
Okay.
number calls me like 3 times. I finally answered it because I thought it was a newspaper. And he goes, hey, do you need help campaigning? Like literally, that was his question to me.
well, at least he can get one elected.
Is that inside joke of Ben? Anyway, I pray for Ben. I have 3 people on my bathroom mirror. He laughed. I just write them on there so I remember them. But Ben is one of the 3 people I pray for, because
I know
if
him.
President Trump or Kash Patel or any of you guys hear this, you need to get in touch with Ben.
I
He's a
know
good guy.
him from Agape Village. He's
Okay.
the president of Agape Village, and I'm on a board with him. And it's a not-for-profit for veterans.
Okay.
But what's different about our not-for-profit is we're going to pay taxes if we have a property. We're not going to ever run from real estate taxes or the property taxes.
Okay.
So he's kind of a cool dude.
He is a cool dude. He is, and one of the things on my campaign, that's everybody says, your sign stands out. Like there'll be a whole row of signs, but we see your sign. Literally, that was the first thing I did campaigning, is I got invited to a picnic, a Republican picnic. That's where I met Ben for the first time, because we'd only talked on the phone. And he goes, okay, you need signs. So we opened up my computer, found signs on the cheap, designed a sign in 10 minutes flat, ordered the signs, done. That is as much thought as went into those signs. And I love my campaign story, because my friend at church, I said, hey, Susan, this runs unopposed, but I should probably have a campaign manager. Do you want to be my campaign manager? You won't have to do anything.
You're laughing about how much they did.
She's amazing. I had seasoned politicians tell me I had the best campaign manager. And as we were going into Harper,
Maybe that's why you got elected.
I did. I no doubt. My church, they just did everything for me. Anything they could do for me, they just did for me. Just sharing with friends and family. Hey, we got this late. they just were just so supportive, praying for me. But Susan, she goes, I don't know what a campaign manager does. I don't want to be your campaign manager. I said, okay, let's agree. God's my campaign manager, and now you're just my campaign director. And so that's why she's my campaign director
Cool.
now. But yeah, and Susan has for 6 months been digging into the finances.
So I'm going to change the subject real quick, and we'll come back to Susan. So how many Republicans and Democrats are on the school board now?
Oh, on the state board. Okay, so I know everybody. Okay, just because they're Republican doesn't mean they vote conservative. Does that?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want conservative versus not conservative, or
Yeah,
Republican?
do it that way.
Okay, so that's what was throwing me. I'm sorry. So
Well,
okay.
you're honest.
So of the conservatives, you're going to have Michelle, Kathy, Dennis, Danny, me, and I'm sorry, whoever I'm forgetting.
So how many are on the school board?
Dennis. There's
Total.
6 of us. There's 6 of us I would say are
No.
conservative.
No, 6 total?
6 total of the
So you got
10.
6 conservatives.
Right.
Well, that's a full slate.
We supposedly flipped the board.
So
Now-
so there's only 6 total.
We'll
Of the
see. We're
Kansas
going
school
to see
board.
how so
I thought it would be a bigger group than 6.
no, we were the minority before. So okay,
Okay.
Republicans. Oh my word.
Well,
that
no,
was-
hang on a second here. Maybe I think
Maybe
I
should
don't
just,
think I'm
let me just
asking the question right. Are there So how many total school board members are there on the state level?
10.
Okay, that's it.
And this year
And
was
of that-
even numbers that were up for election.
So of that, you think 6 are conservative.
yes. That's what I would say. 6 are conservative.
Okay, and 4
Are more for the system.
and are all 6 Republicans.
Yes, I believe they are.
Okay, because you could have a conservative Democrat.
No doubt. And honestly,
It could happen.
before I throw her under the bus, I consider Betty Arnold a friend. She is a Christian woman. She is, I think, though, culturally,
She
she's
just happens to be a
Democrat.
Democrat.
Well, culturally, she's Democrat, and she aligns with some things Democrat too. And this is what got me some people running against me. I'm telling you. But she's honest. She's a very honest person. So when I call out on something that I think we disagree on, we have an honest conversation about it.
So how many actual meetings have you had since you've been elected?
1.
Okay, is this the second one?
This
Are
is the second one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Tell me about. First, let me take. Are you getting to talk what you want to talk about?
I think so. I'm talking about whatever
I know,
happens, right?
but I've kind of
And we
been.
prayed about it before we started.
I know,
so-
but I've been across the board. But I want to make sure you get the opportunity to say what you want to say because actually a lot of people watch this show.
I'm really, really glad about that. And I hope maybe because you're in Topeka, maybe we got some legislators out there. Maybe, and I know that there's my daughter, she's starting to get kind of political because of all this. And she was really excited. Apparently the Coach, Kansas Doge or whatever.
Oh yeah.
They opened that up and it crashed because it got so much use.
Oh wow.
And
So I've
she's
got
pretty
Shawnee
excited.
County Doge.
Do you?
Yeah, and I'm just my web developer took a hiatus and we're trying to get him back focused.
Okay. Well, what I would love to see is what's going on at the federal level. I would love to see the numbers outed to the public on our Kansas Department of Education. I really, so Susan has been, and it's.
Well, I'll help you with that.
Okay, and I'm not even trying to say that anybody's trying to do anything wrong.
No,
okay?
but let's
It's
just
just-
know.
It's just that as an average everyday person, I can tell you, I think it took a good solid 3 months for Susan, who worked at the county, taking care of budgets and stuff like
Sedgwick?
this. Sedgwick County. At one time, she did. So she's not unfamiliar with these systems, and
She knows where to look.
She knows where to look. She knows how to look. And she'd come up here with me, and she's in the hotel. I'm doing genealogy or I'm crocheting and she's over there on her computer just, figuring out numbers, which I hate to do. And so she's doing all those numbers, and it took her, I think, 3 months to just figure out the state numbers.
I like having the numbers in front of me to look at.
Well,
I have the patience to put them together. I worked on a project in Topeka, the Lawrence Bay project, and I found out a guy owes like $8 million.
Mhm.
But I had to do it lot by lot, dollar
Yeah.
by dollar, in order for me to understand it.
And that's how you have to do the
Yeah.
education stuff. And it shouldn't be like that. I mean, it should be, okay, I should be the treasurer of like no organization because I just hate doing that. I just do. But I ended up on the Veterans Park Board, and I ended up being their treasurer because like nobody else wanted to do it. And all I know is the feedback
So
I
what's
got is they
Veterans
love
Park? Is this something in Sedgwick County?
it is. And I'd say we have like the best I'd say we have one of the top 5 in the nation veterans parks, period, in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, so did I tell you my dad's law partner wrote the GI Bill of Rights?
No.
That desk.
On that desk.
No, I'm not saying he wrote it on that desk because
Oh.
he was doing that back in Washington.
Oh, okay. Oh
He
my
he
goodness.
kept an apartment at the
Who
Willard.
am I talking to here?
No, you're talking
You have a
Henry
lot of
McClure.
connections.
Well, no. So Harry Colmary, he had an apartment in the Willard Hotel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and he would keep a staff working in Washington. He was an attorney for the government. He was part of the American Legion.
I'm American Legion.
So I think Harry founded the American Legion after
Very
World War One.
Very nice.
And
No.
the,
The American Legion. American Legion was older than that.
hang on.
Let me think about this.
Well,
because
he-
my great grandfather was in the same post I'm in.
Let's find out. Hey, Ziggy, when was the American Legion founded?
American Legion opened in 1919, making it 106 years old. By the way, you have 2 new notifications. Do you
That-
want to hear them?
No.
Okay, just because he was in the Spanish-American War, but he joined the American Legion apparently later. Whoops.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
Moved the whole desk.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. But,
So Harry was one of the first members, let's say. He was involved with the American Legion.
okay.
And what he found out that they found out after World War One, it's where they learned about being shell shocked.
Okay, yes.
But he found people that had higher education in life were able to get over being shell shocked quicker than those that weren't. And that was kind of one of the reasons why the GI Bill was created after World War II to help veterans.
Because they could logic past some of the emotions that they
Yeah,
were
get
dealing with or
past it.
something.
See,
That's an interesting thought. I didn't know that there was that correlation there. I had never heard that before. So,
that's 2 for me besides Brown
Oh,
versus Board.
you said you learned something I do too.
I-
I mean,
well-
and you know what? If I come on the show again sometime,
You can be on
I
the
might
show.
say, you know what? I was talking about those pre-Ks and I was wrong. They're great or something.
Well,
But
and what
I'm
I
just
want to
telling you,
do
I'm
is
on a
I want to
journey.
make sure that I'm just not. I want to make sure you're getting to say what you want to say.
Yeah, I think we've covered just so
Well,
much, but the federal
and
funds.
see, my little brain.
She has not been able to get those federal funds evened out. So
Tell
I
me
can
about that. So
They don't. It doesn't. What goes in, what goes out, can't be tracked enough to say it's.
So let's get
ground
Elon Musk on that.
zero. Yeah, Elon,
Okay.
get with it.
Well, no, because the Department of Education is next. I think it's going to be that before the Pentagon.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
I mean, think about this. The Department of Treasury didn't have a record of where money goes.
Apparently they did, and they tracked it. These teenagers.
Well, yeah, but they're
but the money.
no, they were able to. They
can track the money.
They're creating the tracking. These
I see what
big
you're
balls.
saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they're having to
They're-
put a name to what this money's doing.
Yes, they're
The
creating
money did something.
the tracking method.
Gotcha.
And excuse me, that was the guy's name on X. Are you on Twitter or anything?
I
Any
am
social media?
lightly I'm on Facebook, but
Yeah.
lightly on X.
I like X.
I joined Twitter when my president joined Twitter.
Oh, he came back to Twitter.
No, when he joined the first
tour of duty.
tour of duty,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, my president's talking to us on Twitter. I'm going to get on Twitter. That's when I got on Twitter.
No, I basically he won over Twitter and then he lost over Twitter.
Yeah, well,
And then Elon Musk buying Twitter. What a deal.
we've been through some incredible times. We have been through some
Oh man,
incredible
reading
times.
about Kash Patel and what they did,
Oh, I haven't even read that. I listened to I know some of you out there are going to be Stephen Bannon fans. That's what Stephen Bannon.
Well, he didn't
That's
go-
where I get a lot of my.
He didn't go to he wouldn't testify.
I know, he went to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, went to prison. That's a patriot right there. I'm willing to go to prison for you people. I'm willing to go to prison for you guys.
Well, and that's what I felt about running for county commissioner. I was going to retire my real estate license while I was a commissioner.
Mhm,
And
which is
to
what I did.
me, that was like going to prison. I started talking about a 4-year sentence because this is my life.
Gotcha.
And what I've used, what I've been able to, what I like about X or Twitter is that it helps get my listings out in the search engines.
Oh, no, I never used X or Twitter for real estate. Of course, I had more buyers than sellers.
Well,
so-
commercial real estate's a little different.
and commercial's different.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we were looking at one time doing a pretty big commercial for us, buying a bowling alley. That was pretty big. And anyway, I tried to refer myself to a commercial real estate agent.
Oh, we earn our keep.
Yeah, and he was like, Debbie, your license is just as good for commercial as it is for residential. I said, yeah, but I don't think so. I
It's
just
the
don't
art
think-
of the deal.
It's just a whole different animal.
Well, and what's crazy is, and not crazy to me, but my show is actually helping me get business
Uh-huh.
because
Okay.
people are going to gravitate to the people, my values that I have as a conservative.
Mm-hmm. And name recognition.
Yeah,
And,
these are my customers.
oh, that's upstairs.
Yes,
Yeah.
upstairs.
Anyway, so
These are we're in the Glass Houses studio. That's what we call the place.
glass houses.
The Glass Houses studio. This is part of the Ryan Mowinkle empire of commercial real estate.
I saw
Now
that
I'm
name
doing a
Mowinkle.
commercial. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the Mowinkle. I thought, now that's a name I do genealogy. I do have a Facebook group with about 14,000 people in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I do DNA and genealogy. I like to my bucket list. Anybody out there? If you know a crime, I want to solve a crime with DNA. I found a lot of birth families.
No, one of my viewers used to do research for me. She loves the genealogy side. She studies that. I'm supposed to be related to him.
That's familiar. Who is that?
Ichabod Washburn.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's Washburn University. Okay.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm not from Topeka.
That's okay.
So, okay. And you're supposed to be related to him.
That's the last thing my grandma said to me. She goes, I think this might be important to you, and I want you to know that there was 2 things. She goes, by the way, I'm actually 99. She'd lied about her age her whole life.
How cute.
And
I'm on my deathbed.
yeah, no, she wasn't.
Was she 89 on her deathbed? And is
She
like,
was
"Sorry, you think I'm
she had
99?"
just beat us in cards. She was living in Cripple Creek, Colorado.
Okay.
And my mom and I were there, and I think there might have been somebody else with us. I can't remember, tagging along, one of
Mhm.
her great grandkids or grandkids or something. I don't know. But anyway, she goes, and also, you're related to Ichabod Washburn. And so when I found that out later on, I wanted to, I was going to use it when I was running for office, you know,
Ah,
and I did the swab, and you hock 2 in the cup and mail it out to ancestry.com.
you went to Ancestry, okay.
Yeah, and then
And then they lost it.
they lost it, so I got to do it again.
Like,
Is that the best one to go to?
Mind. That just blows my mind that they lost it.
Well, is that the best one to go to?
Well, it kind of depends on what you want to do. Now, if
I
you're,
want to know if I'm related to that guy.
well, I doubt DNA is going to say, "Oh, you got Ichabod Crane DNA in you." What you're going to have to do is do your genealogy the good old-fashioned way, and what your DNA is going to do is it's going to confirm relationships along the way that say your tree is right.
Okay.
That there's not some wink, wink, nod, nod, dad that you didn't know wasn't a dad, that kind of thing. That's what genealogy is really, really good for. It'll tell you if your family isn't really your family, that kind of stuff. It happens actually a lot more than you think. So good old fashioned genealogy is going to be what tells you if you're related to him.
Well, my aunt did that. My Aunt Mariana, she did that, and it's somewhere.
Okay, so that's what you
It's
want.
somewhere around
Now,
here.
the DNA though is so fun. Is just, I mean, I just, it's like God put his fingerprint right in you. You can, it doesn't matter what your birth certificate, death certificate, life story, parents, grandparents, no matter what you were told, your DNA will never lie to you. It's actually a most beautiful thing, I think. And do you want to go off on a rabbit trail? Are you
Yeah, why
okay going
not?
on a rabbit trail? So
That's what this show's for.
I started into the DNA and gene. So I got an NSDAR in 2009, and I was into genealogy already, but I got into the DNA maybe around 2012. And so this is fairly early on, and I'm reading articles, and there's this article that says women are older than men genetically. Okay, so the idea in their evolutionary point of view, I'm a creationist. In their evolutionary point of view was that basically women started morphing into humans faster than men. Okay, that's how it kind of came down. And of course, that doesn't make any sense, But I was like, this makes perfect biblical sense because of the flood. So if you think of Noah and the ark,
Right.
on Noah's Ark, you have precisely 2 generations of Y DNA. Okay?
Right.
Of the women, though, with 3 daughters-in-law, you could conceivably have your most recent common ancestor even be Eve. They could have different family lines such that DNA goes even further back. So the idea is that they're measuring mutations and mutation rates, okay? On Y DNA and mitochondrial DNA, because these are DNAs that are passed directly from the parent to the child. There's no admixing, nothing, okay? So the Y DNA, your sons will have your Y DNA, nothing to do with your wife's dad, okay? No, just only you. In the same way, the mitochondrial DNA comes from the mom down to all of her children, okay? And it's just passed directly. So you would think that being that they're both passed the exact same way, that they should have the same rate of mutation, okay? So the fact that women's DNA show many more generations of mutation than the men's DNA, it just supports the Bible that you had multiple generations of mitochondrial DNA on that ark and only 2 generations of male DNA. Sorry. That's my geek moment.
No. I'm going to get a whiteboard put on this whole wall. I'm getting rid of Ichabod's going to take a hike. And then we can draw it up.
I have a whole PowerPoint.
Oh, wow.
I used to do PowerPoint presentations for DAR.
So
for
can
SAR.
people hire you to do this?
I do it for free.
Oh, sign me up. That's the deal.
Yeah, because
Yes.
it's literally when I get overwhelmed with this, I did it this week. I was just like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. And I started working on genealogy for a
So
family
you've
that's
got
in
a
Florida.
hobby.
That's my hobby.
Yeah. So, man, I'm telling you, I got rest this weekend for the first time. I really felt rested. I couldn't wait to come to work, which
Okay.
sometimes I'm not always looking forward to it.
Okay.
But I do have my book with Cash Patel. But I took time to read that this weekend, and it was like a little bit of a vacation.
Okay, and see, reading nonfiction is not a vacation for me.
And see, it's like,
Oh, that's work.
oh man,
Work,
and I
work.
just love it because
No.
it's like it's putting, for me, it's putting the puzzle pieces together.
I get that.
Yeah, but you hear it from a guy that went through trauma. I mean, and he went through it firsthand. And then you see why things are today. It's like I was talking to a friend of mine. His name's Dana K. Anderson. He's the guy I went to work for in the mall business. And he goes, "Well, look, I'm
I
around
was
to
gonna say,
verify."
you said his name before. I was going to say, I know
Yeah,
that name.
Mace loved him,
Mhm.
and he made Mace rich. But Dana goes, "Well, look, I'm around to verify your stories."
Okay.
And okay, good. I'm going to need you. But he was saying patience was not a virtue of his, and I said, "Well, I've spent my lifetime trying them."
Yeah, I was going to say,
No.
I am the person who really makes patient people not so patient anymore.
He,
They-
but he
I-
got
I-
it. He
I-
laughed just like that.
Yeah.
He did. He laughed just like that.
I'm an acquired taste.
Yeah. Oh,
I
wow.
got that. So
Well,
but-
see, it's not just me out there.
I haven't even hardly. I look over, but then I go past the camera to that TV. So I think I'm like not ever looking at anybody.
It's all right.
So I don't have that presence. I'll
We're
get it maybe.
it doesn't matter. This is for this is the Wing It show.
The Wing It show.
Yeah, we wing it.
Anyway, I don't know. I felt like this was such an amazing opportunity for me, and I thank you for having me on. And I am trying to put out YouTubes.
Okay.
I have a YouTube channel. I think it's just
Well, we can help you. I'll show you after the show's over my YouTube channel.
okay.
And MD, we may have a customer here for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Get me. So I've got a college kid helping me right now, and he's doing college though. But
Okay.
he's a sweetheart, and he's trying. And we've gone to the Advanced Learning Library, and shout out to Wichita with their green screen, and they got all the equipment, and they've been really helpful there at the Advanced Learning Library.
Thank you for being on the show today. I think we're going to wind it down. We're kind of at a point.
Yeah,
So
we're at a point.
yeah, we're at a
Amazing.
point. Henry
Yeah.
McClure live. Was that an hour and 13?